I'm very happy and pleased with the 2013 recruiting class. Our coaching staff, along with our support staff, did an outstanding job of putting together an excellent class. It is key that we recruit character, young men that want to be a part of something special. Height, speed, football awareness, toughness. It was critical when we go out to recruit. We were able to fulfill our needs. Special emphasis was directed to the defensive side of the ball. We were able to recruit 5 defensive backs, 2 linebackers, and 3 defensive linemen. 10 players on the defensive side of the football. On the offensive side, by getting a big name like James Quick, it enhanced our recruiting early. He committed during the Army All-American game, which gave notoriety not only to our program, but is at the right time right after a big Sugar Bowl win. Even though this class is small in number, these players will make a great contribution to this program in the near future.
Charlie, what does Quick mean to the program? He's a guy you think would come in and play right away.
Well, you just look at his athletic ability and just what he can do offensively. Anytime he touched the ball, he could just make things happen, and he's going to be a great contributor. And just wherever we use him, whether he's wide receiver, he's a guy that you can move around, got great hands. But, what you also look at, just his family, where he comes from. His father was a player here, but he's an outstanding family with his mom and dad. Did a great job of raising him.
How much has the bar been raised, so to speak, in recruiting with what's happened with the Sugar Bowl?
Well, you always want to raise the bar. Each year we try to make this program better, and that's what you talk to the players about when you come into this program. Not only do we want to see you raise your level of performance, but we also want this standard to be raised within this program.
We talked the last few years, you didn't get a kid from Louisville. This year you got the best. What did that mean as a big picture?
Well, you just look at this city. This city is an outstanding players within the city, and we always want to control this city before we go anywhere else. Actually, this state, and we want to make sure that we get the players within the state. Then we want to go off, and then because we have to go off and recruit other places just because of the limited number of players within the state. But James Quick, just being the type of player he is and being the type of person he is, just speaks volumes of who he is and what he's done for this program.
Charlie, when you had Kyle and James together, talk about you want to control the state, you did a pretty good job with the 2 of those guys.
Well, it is, and Kyle Bowling just coming out of Lexington is outstanding quarterback. He had an injury there late into his senior season, but he's going to be able to bounce back, and we're going to be able to just make sure that we get the doctors and our training staff has been working with him.
What do you like about Bowling in particular?
Leadership qualities, a quarterback, and that's what you expect from that quarterback position, someone who's a leader, and that's what he does. And if you look at it, what he was able to do, he called a number of recruits for us, and he became just our guy who was our lead guy during recruiting. Guys would say all the time, hey, I talked to Kyle Bullen, and he told me, give you a call, coach. I was getting calls from guys I didn't even know who they were, but he said, well, Kyle gave me your number. I said, all right, let me give Kyle a call on that. But no, just his leadership qualities is what's key, and you want that out of that quarterback position.
How much of an influence was the fact you have 3 contracts that the kids knew you were going to be able to come up? How did that play in the landscape?
It's always a factor because a lot of times when you recruit against other schools, what they always say, well, he won't be there. Just look what the year that they just had. But just signing that contract just made me let them know that I'm making a commitment to this program and I'm going to be here for the long haul.
Not just Quick, but the other wide receivers, that wide receiver group as a whole coming in, there's a lot of speed in there.
Well, you always look for speed, and what I talked about earlier, just height. I think if you look at our class, is 6 foot or better, because now you want, even a defensive back, you want that tall, rangy guy, because a lot of times corners lose on a jump ball, but now you can body up because of the size of your defensive back, and you want them to be physical.
How long does it take for you to know how good guys really are after they get here, and how long do you wait? Is it fair to wait to evaluate a recruiting class?
It's always fair to wait to evaluate a recruiting class. That's why I don't like to always, you take a recruit and say, hey, this guy's going to come in and right away he's going to help our program. I've been a part of programs where I've seen 5 stars, and then a lot of times those 5 stars don't work out. Then you take a guy who has no stars, and he can end up being that 5-star for you. But let him become a part of your program first, and then that way you can know just how good he is. And you know what happens too, when they come into your program, you already have some really good players yourself. So now can they come in and just right away, can they be a great addition for you?
Do you need a year or 2 before when you look at these guys to see if he's as good as I thought he was, or he's better than I thought he was? How soon can you tell?
A lot of time with skill guys, you can tell right away because skill is, it's more athletic ability, speed, and quickness. Get the ball in the guy's hands, see if he can make a guy miss in open space, or if he can go in. If he's a defensive back, can he make a play in open space? Can he tackle? Can he get his eyes on the football? Can he intercept the ball? Linemen is the one where you're going to have the longest time to develop, just because you're looking at a lineman. He coming out of a high school program, and you have a guy who's been in your program 4 or 5 years who's already bigger and stronger. Here's a guy who's 6'6", 300 pounds. You may be getting a 6'6", 300 pounder, but he hasn't played. He's just being just the physical toughness and the mental toughness of the lineman position is what's tough for linemen.
Charlie, how much of this was driven from strength in terms of handpicking the spots that you needed, and is some of the foundation that you have against the other young teams?
Well, with it being such a small class, and we just had to take what we had, because you look at it, just at wide receiver, we got the one wide receiver we wanted. We quit because we have a lot of receivers returning. But when I talked about the defensive side of the ball, we needed linebackers and you needed the defensive backs, just because when you talk about special teams, we need to improve in our special team. So that will give you the special team players, and because now you have an abundance of guys to choose from. You have that pool now to say, you know what, take this skill guy, and, he's a backer, and can he open up in open space? Can he go block a guy, or can he, go block a punt, or can he drop back and protect on a punt protection? But it's always when you look at it on the defensive side of the ball, you kind of recruit for special teams first, and then you see, hey, now once he's able to contribute on the special teams, now you get him into play on the defensive side of the ball.
Charlie, is there any guys specifically on defensive end that jump out?
No, it's just with that group, because you look at Chucky, you look at Benjamin, you look at a group of guys there. Finesse is already here in school. Kelsey, the thing about Kelsey was I coached his dad at the University of Florida, so I kind of had a relationship with Kelsey there. But it's just so hard who's going to contribute right away, because they're going to get their opportunities. And that's the thing about here. We have a young football team. So now it's just how well they come in, and you like to get them here early enough in the summertime where they can work out with your team, and then you can get a feel for just how good they can be or how well they can contribute for you early.
So how difficult, being a small class, having a lot of young guys that played a lot, and then also having to deal with, for most of the time, being in the Big East, not having the ACC till the end, how difficult was just everything put this class together for the staff?
Well, I think that what happened there early is just knowing that you were going to the ACC. That helped, because now they felt like, hey, once I know this, I may be in the Big East 1 year, and then I'm going to have a chance then now to go play against the Florida State and the Clemsons and go participate in the ACC. But it's difficult. It's always difficult, because a lot of times when you don't have a good, strong recruiting base and you have to go out and go in the other states and go win the recruiting war, that's what's really tough, is when you have to go into Florida, knowing that even though we have a number of players from Florida, you still have to go beat the Florida schools within that state, or you have to go to Alabama, or you have to go to Georgia. So it's always tough. But you had to have good recruiters, and you had to evaluate, and you had to know right away who you want to go recruit, because the evaluation process is so critical. With Lacey and Frazier, and then Chandler Bridges. Actually, Chandler Bridges is from Paducah, so he had ties to the state of Florida. And then with Lacey coming out of Indianapolis, we were able to get on him early enough. He came to our football camp, so we were able to evaluate him during camp. And then Frazier, is one of those you always find a recruit there late. He was in the Alabama All-Star game, and he was actually going against Finesse. And then I kind of knew his dad, didn't really know him, but his father had some relationship through friends of mine, so we were able to get a connection there. So those linemen, they'll be able to contribute. Just how soon, don't know, but they will be able to help this program.
Year 4, do you find yourself, are you going against more established programs this year and going after what you thought were higher quality athletes?
Yeah, you have to, because now you know where you're going to take your next step into the ACC. So you know what your level of competition is in that league. So now you have to go recruit those type of players.
Can you talk about Finesse just a little bit, getting him here on campus early, how important that was?
It's always critical when you get a young man in early, and that way they know what your program is all about. And if you look at last year, we were able to get 5 or 6 guys in, but with Finesse coming in now, he's able to work out with the linemen, and he get to see the defensive linemen and give them a chance to get stronger and get a chance to get in school.
He doesn't have
When he came to camp, just was an outstanding pass rusher. That guy could get his hands on it and could beat one-on-one blocks. And at that position, that's what you kind of look for, because the position where we're going to play him, he'll be a space player.
What have you been able to see from some of the guys that set out, like Christian and Matt Milton, that are able to contribute next year?
Well, you look at where those guys, the programs they came from. You get Tennessee Slim from Tennessee, Milton, and then you get Christian, and so those guys are going to be able. I just think with them being in our program 1 year, and I would say this: a lot of times when you get players like that from bigger programs, they come into your program, they feel like they don't have to work. But all three of those guys, they came in and they contributed right away. You know, I would look over a scout team, and Robert Clark, he would take every snap if you would let him. But he always wanted the ball in his hands, though. So if it was a wide receiver, if the ball was going to be thrown to him, he wanted. If he was running the speed sweep, he wanted to be that guy. But it was just the way those guys came in and they worked. And I think their whole attitude, our players saw their attitude. So then they looked at them and say, hey, you know what, if those guys can come in here and work, then we should work like that every day at practice ourselves. First thing is character. And you just try to get a background check on the young man and just see when you talk about what he's done. And a lot of times when you go into schools, what I tell our coaches all the time, the coaches are going to tell you one thing. He's a great young man. I've never had an issue with him. But I said, what you always need to do, just go find a young lady that he's dated before, and she'll tell you everything. Yeah, it is. That's all you have to do. If you go in that counselor's office, and it'll be some girl in there, you say his name. Hey, what about so-and-so? And you get the rundown on him right away. But you just try. But it's all about recruiting, and who are. A lot of times you just try to find out, like, who's going to be the mouth and who's going to talk, because like I said, the coaches are going to say, hey, he's fine. He's an outstanding young man, comes from a great family. But you really have to dig deep to really find out. But it's all about character and who you get into your program, because we're not going to become them. They have to become us when they walk into this program. And then you look for the athletic ability. Is he tough? And, is he a leader? Yes, coach, is he a leader? Is he tough? And just, height and speed, because we're always going to see the height and speed. But it's all about what's inside that young man. And will he contribute to your program? Will he be does he want to go to class? Does he really want a degree? And because I tell them all the time, don't come into this program if you don't want to go to school. If you don't want a degree, don't come into our program, because you're going to get that. I'm sorry. Well, if you look at Tobridge is a big body, and the thing you like about him is just his size, and you're looking at a 6'3" tight end, and just going in Ohio and pulling him out of Ohio and getting him into our program was special, and we need tight ends, because we're an offense that if you look at what Coach Watson does, we move the tight ends around a lot. We get the balls in their hands, so we need another tight end.
What was the recruitment of James Quick like? And you pull him away from Ohio State and your former coach there?
I think the one thing that was critical with James Quick was his mom and dad, because he wanted his family to watch him play, and he wanted to be a part of it. Just being in the city, that allowed him to, anytime he needed to go home, at least he's close enough where, I'm 5 or 10 minutes away from home, and I'm far enough where they're going to allow me to grow up and become myself and be my man. But he doesn't talk much. So, it was hard to get him to really talk, because he's the way he is. But, an outstanding player, you just have to know your conversations was very limited. So when you did get him on the phone, hey, Quick, how you doing? Doing good, Coach. How's everything going? Going well, Coach. And it was a very short conversation. All right, dude, hey, who are you playing this week? We're playing Ballard, Coach. Okay, good luck to you.
Does that make you nervous during the process, or did you just have to realize that?
No, you just have to know who he is and who you're recruiting. It didn't really make me nervous, because I said this: if he's talking to me like that, he's talking to everyone else like that. So, but you try to get him over to the games and get him around our players and let them talk to him, and that way he feel comfortable. Oh, I didn't get to go to school on that one. That's what I did when I recruited. I didn't get to go out on that.
What was that day like?
It was a special day, because you look at our program, and we needed a boost, and you wanted a big name, and to get a big name like Quick was something special. And like I said, not only you getting a really good football player, but you're getting a good person too. And so when we know who's going to really contribute to this program.
First 2 years you go out and get so many guys, and then you redshirt a ton of them.
Well, just because of the number of scholarships was limited, we weren't able to go get that number. But if we had that number, we probably wouldn't got. We had 25 to go sign. We would and got us 25 players. But just the number that we have, you just have to work with it. And we're like I said, feel really comfortable about the number that I did get, and really happy about the number of guys and how they're going to contribute to this program in the near future.
Will many of them contribute next year? I mean, it's so hard to tell early when you've had so many guys the first 3 years contribute early.
And it's hard to say because you never know when a young man get out there. And I always tell the guys that are in our program right now, if you allow that young man to come into this program and play, it's your fault. Because you've been in this program 2 or 3 years, you have a freshman walk into the program now. So if you allow that to happen, that's your fault. But they're going to be given every opportunity to. So we'll get that out. We'll be able to see them, and when we get them out there, and the guys that are here right now with Finesse, he'll get a chance this spring.
You found yourself having to turn some guys down that wanted to come?
Well, you always have that issue, and a lot of times you hope you don't turn away the wrong guys. And because you have guys that want to be a part of the program, so then it just come down to the evaluation process.
We haven't touched you since you signed your new contract with the group. Can you talk about the commitment that the university made to you, the hefty raise?
Well, I always say this. I work for the best athletic director in the country, and I have a president that's unbelievable. And for them to extend a contract to me, I can more than ever appreciate it, and just how grateful I am to Tom Jurich and what he's did, and to this university and the board of trustees and everyone involved. Because you know what, I don't know if I deserve that much, but I have to continue to work to see. But the only thing we want to do is just continue to make sure that this program continue to go in the right direction. And our coaching staff understands that we can never get complacent, because we know this. You still have to outwork people here. We all of a sudden, you look at that Sugar Bowl game, and people always say, what happened everywhere you go now. I mean, it's amazing how many people watch that game, but everything happened the right way for us that night, and everything fell in place for us that night. And just to watch the way that football team performed and how prepared the coaching staff had our team prepared to go play that night. But it was amazing just to watch that.
So a big part of the process was taking care of your assistant coaches. I know you said, and were you able to do that?
Yes, and that's what we always talk about first. I said it's never about me. I just want to make sure our coaches are taken care of and their families are taken care of, because a lot of times they do most of the work anyway. That's the part I do is very small, but they do a lot, and I want to make sure that they were well taken care of.
Make any nice purchases after the deal was signed?
I don't spend any money. I'm very tight with my money. I think I may have the first dollar I ever made. I do. I really do. I have the first dollar I ever made. I can remember that money, that dollar. I said that one of these days my girls will end up, doing something with it. I don't know what.
Is this class, is it ever finished?
It's never finished, because what you always like to do is just hold a scholarship, and in case one comes along, and then you can always. And then if I don't give it to someone who's still out there, I'm gonna give it to someone walk on our within our program.
Did you see Keith Kelsey's announcement with the hats? What did you think of that whole deal?
I told him, but you can't do it to any program, because all coaches work hard in recruiting, and you don't ever try to embarrass another program, because those coaches, they work just as hard as any other coach. And I have respect for all coaches across this country, especially at this time of year, because you're dealing with so many egos. You're dealing with, this recruiting process is kind of getting out of hand, because now everybody wants their own stage. Everybody wants to be on Twitter. Everybody wants to be on Facebook. Everybody wants to make their own announcement, and it's just getting out of hand. But you have to respect the coaches and with all programs.
How would you change the whole announcement process?
I would not allow. Well, you know what it is. It's so controlled by ESPN. But you would just, like, for a young man, say, "Where you going to school?" I mean, let's cut the drama out. If you want to go there, just go to that school and just leave it alone. And we don't have to take 5. These schools are all involved. A lot of times those guys know where they want to go to school before. A month ago they knew that.
Have you been surprised with the success that Mark Stoops is having at Kentucky?
Well, Stoops is an outstanding coach, and he's going to do a good job there.
Would you like to see an early signing period in football?
Well, you like to see it that way. You can eliminate a lot of the drama, But a lot of times too, you like to know who you're recruiting, and you have to like to develop a relationship. So if you go in an early signing period, it'd be hard to develop a relationship with recruits, because then all of a sudden then you're going to have to extend recruiting. So now in the summers, coaches won't get a vacation because now they're going to have to go out and recruit. Because you say December, we'd like to have an early signing date, then now you're saying, hey, June and July, you guys are out recruiting. Then we had to get into fall camp. So during fall camp, you're sitting there trying to put a team together, but you're also worrying about going to get an early signing period.
Losing a guy like Stein as your backup next year creates a competition. I mean, obviously Brett is a guy who can come in and compete right away for that backup job.
Well, you still have Will Gardner, who's been in the program. You have Brett Nelson, and so you're going to have some guys who are going to get Kyle when he get it. You're going to have some guys who are going to get that opportunity. But the good thing about Steiner, he had been in the program 4 years, was a total leader within this program. We're really going to miss him. It's so funny now when you come in and have a meeting and he's not sitting right there. You know, it's like guys. I mean, he's usually that guy right there, but he's no longer there. But it's just that you just miss that, because you like, for some guys you would like to say, hey, I wish he never would leave our program. You know, you'd like to say, hey, I wish he was always there.
What about Nelson? Did you guys like? And I know Coach Washington got in on kind of late. You got him pretty quick.
Yeah, we did get in on the late, but he's a pocket quarterback, can throw the ball, has a presence about him. So we'll get a chance to watch him this spring.
What was the key to some of those kind of leadership qualities
Sit.
does he have some of those, you know, maybe that Stein had?
Well, it just haven't really had a chance to really know him yet. But once you get into the program, we'll get a chance to know him.
What was the key to so much success in northern Florida, Gainesville area?
Well, just relationship with Kelsey, and then over in Jacksonville, Dejan, where he came out of high school, he came out of the high school coach and Hurd are really good friends, and Dugan. So we should do pretty good in northern Florida, just because of Dugan's coming out of Florida State, Brian Jean-Marie coming out of Orlando area.
One thing that I think also kind of lasted from the Sugar Bowl was a comment made. Kirk Herbstreit said that Florida was disinterested, and it kind of gave a little bit less credit to you guys. Did you hear that? I guess what was your reaction?
Well, I always say this. If you say that, when I left Florida, we played Cincinnati in the same bowl game. Okay, their coach leaves and goes to Notre Dame, and so if a team was disinterested, it should have been us, because they didn't have their head coach at the game. So you would have thought, hey, Florida's not going to be prepared. They said, well, we went out there and played that night, and because a lot of times it's the seniors' last game, so it's no disinterest. A lot of times you get out there, you're not prepared to go play. Then the team that's really prepared and want to play a little harder ends up, and that's what happens. I mean, you can say that with a lot of games.
Where are you guys right now? I guess is that with next year's schedule? Is that something that you're still talking with Tom and all that?
Yeah, we're trying to work out next year's schedule, and where we are as a football team is we can't get complacent. And I tell them all the time, enjoy this win. It was a great win. You deserve it. But now we have to move on. And it's time to move on, because the new season is going to be up on us, and we can't look back. It's to continue to look forward.
How long did you allow yourself to celebrate that?
I really we started recruiting right away, so I didn't really just take a minute and sit back and say, wow, I probably should have. You don't get moments like that many times, but you just have to keep moving forward.
Do you give the staff an hour off, or they start calling 14 guys? Or I mean, it never stops. I mean, it's now focused on that class.
Oh, it is, and it's always focused on the next class now. This one's over, so go get ready for the next one.
Lynn Clark is a guy that you all seem to get in on late, picked him up, not that highly recruited. What do you like about him?
Well, if you look at him, he's a young man that led their team in tackling, and he's a 6'2", 230-pound. Right now, he's lost weight because he hurt his shoulder, but I think that he's going to be a really good contributor for us at linebacker position. Toughness.
Charlie, is there any chance to add a marquee game to the schedule, or is it pretty set?
I think we're still trying to work on it and just see if we can get one of those marquee games, see if somebody want to come and play us. You know what? Anybody who'd like to?
Talk about the tall corners that you got in 6'2", 6'1" guys, and then Bailey, the transfer.
Well, what you like with the tall corners now? A lot of balls are jump balls, and so now you like to body up receivers, and playing with tall corner it gives you that opportunity to body up receivers. Plus, into the boundary, we play a lot of cover too, so now you get a long angular corner who can jam receivers and get back into coverage.
Charlie, do you see anybody in this class kind of touch on that, maybe coming in as a cornerback or any other position that you see might possibly be able to switch over to another position if it doesn't work out? And then also, did you have any maybe kind of assistant coaches kind of bickering between certain players, one of them for offense, one for defense?
Well, you always have that with your skill guys because when you start recruiting skill, you know, a guy may be a receiver, and then you say, well, you know, Vance may say, you know, I think that he has defensive back skill. So with the skill players, it's always a chance that they can go back and forth. Lineman, it's hard. Really, with a defensive lineman is one you like to send to offense. Never will I send an offensive lineman to defense because they just don't move fast enough. But a D lineman, you feel like they're athletic enough where they can move and pull and they can go play on the offensive side of the ball. Well, Coach Moore told me the other day, it's interesting you said it. He said, hey, don't bring them in here at 275. I can't get them bigger. I said, wow, I've never heard of that before. but you can get them 300. You can get them smaller, huh? No, I think his weight, once he get in our program, we'll be able to move it in the right direction. Right now it's probably not sitting in the right place, so we'll be able to put it in the right direction. Yes, yeah, you come on. Hey, I look forward to getting it over with. No. But you like to just see your program, and this is the day where you get a chance to build your program and add to what you already have. But you know what? You just go through it so much. You know, you're in and out of airports. You're talking to this young man, talking to this young man. So all of a sudden, you just kind of get tired of it. Say, God, hurry up and get here so we can get this day over with and kind of relax for a few days before. Now I get a chance to go work with my team. Oh, it's amazing that after that bowl game, and like so many people saw that game. So even walking through the airport, it's just people see you with Louisville. They say, "Oh, Louisville, oh, unbelievable game." But the reception is, and that game kind of, but just we had notoriety, but then that game just really put us out there. And then to go beat a Florida team. That team was number 3 ranked in the country, and not only did we beat them, like we didn't just go out there and mess around. We beat that team. And I think that you gain more respect than anything.
Even though you all your ties, and we've talked about it a million times about Florida, every year you continue to do it. And I think more, maybe even more percentage this year. I think 8 or 17 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it's going to be, right?
Well, it's just a number of guys in that area, and where our ties are. And you know, you'd like to say, hey, in Atlanta, Georgia, we'd like to do a better job, and we should do a better job in Atlanta. And just to go get one guy out of there, because it's a lot of players in the state of Georgia, also in Alabama. But we're going to continue to be very aggressive in recruiting, and wherever we need to go to get players, that's where we have to. But just because of Florida, just the ties that the coaching staff has. All right. Thanks, guys.